We just concluded the first Descendant live broadcast for the upcoming patch this week, so in a matter of days. So today we're going to review and go over all the things they talked about, show off the new content, and talk about the upcoming update. But I'm back to full-time streaming, so head over to twitch.tv/drybear. We can watch the next one together if you want to watch it live or you just want to hang out and talk about games. First, let's talk about the big ticket item, which is the launch of the Onslaught Mode, which was for the longest time over the last 2 years and even into the beta of the first Descendant, people have been asking for a survival mode, an endless mode, a horde mode that focuses on hordes. Now, this is not going to be endless. They have already confirmed, as we sit here, and we'll go over the details in a second, it will be 10 total rounds for the hard version, 7 total rounds for the easy version. So there are going to be 2 different versions to unlock. It's going to be different sets of waves, with the final wave being a Colossus as well. There's a couple new mechanics in the Onslaught mode as well, and this is going to launch with this week's patch on the 16th and will run for 2 weeks until the end of the month, where it will end the beta and then they're going to make adjustments and then launch it again next month for the full version. So let's talk about the new mechanics and what's different about this relative to, say, special operations, and that's already in the game, which is a round-based 10-round mode that is limited as well. In this case, there's going to be some new mechanics that make this different from that. The first one is going to be the abilities in this as well. So as you see on screen, kind of like a roguelike might be, throughout this process on waves 1, so when the round starts, 4, and then 7, you will choose a buff for your character. Luckily, a couple things to know about this. This is chosen per individual player, which means that you won't have to be limited by what your teammates choose. Everyone will choose a buff, a set of 3 buffs for themselves. They did say that for the launch of the beta of the Onslaught mode, there will be 24 total buffs, and you will choose 3 of them total. As you can see on screen here, there is a reroll button. So you will get a choice of 3. You can reroll these. They didn't say what limitations. I don't know if you can reroll infinitely or something. Typically with roguelikes, it's like 1 reroll or 2 reroll, but we'll see how that goes. You can see on screen they have like multi-hit damage, immunity to being immobilized, or MP recovery. They said there's 24 total, so you can imagine there's a lot more of these probably related to the in-game stats like skill damage, crit damage, things like that. So you'll be able to specify what your build would be based on that choice. Another nice surprise, there will be new enemy types in here. These are the new tyrants. So if you don't know tyrants in Axian Plains, there are these super elite enemies that will spawn that you'll have to take down. There's gonna be 3 new versions of it specifically for Onslaught mode. The Resonance Wings, kind of red bug looking character, the Spider Robot, Spike Spider, and then the Gunner, Void Gunner. These will all be the tyrants with the teal HP bar inside of the Onslaught mode that will pop up regularly. But I think this is awesome because it just gives us more visual variety. Even with the Legion of Breach, I feel like the enemy variety is still quite poor. And so adding new types of enemies that we can see is going to make it feel more enriched and different from the other modes in the game. Next, there will be little encampments. So you see that white platform that's there on the underneath the turret? Those will be strewn about the level, and you will be able to walk up them and use a resource that you collect during Onslaught mode to summon the turrets. This is very like Monster Hunter, like raid style, where you have these little encampments and you can spawn turrets. They did say that there was going to be 3 levels of upgrades, and they showed us 2 different turrets. There is the Disruption Wave Generator, which you see. They said this is going to be a slowing turret, so it just slows enemies in the area, shoots mortars and slows them down, and helps you group enemies up. And then they also have the Sentry Turret, which just does direct damage. They did say that these are going to be useful. We'll have to see how useful that actually is when we have a fully built character in the area, but there's going to be a lot more of these. There was like 6 to 8 spots, even in the first wave round, so this will vary by the area that you're in, but it is kind of a cool new mechanic to play around with. Now, based on this gameplay, you can see that this is going to be for 4 players, and it will be 10 total rounds if you're on the hardest version. There's a lighter version that's only 7, but you'll be kind of going through this. It does seem like there's one of the tyrants, the Spike Spider, showing up. As you can see, you can walk up and you can use the materials, the fragments that you own. So straight up top here, right above me, you see fragments owned. That little red material, you're using that to spawn the turrets, and you can choose which one you want of the 2 that are available, and you can spawn them and upgrade them up to 3 levels total, so probably 2 upgrades that you can put on that as well, and enemies do seem to stream in. Now, one thing to know about this is there are going to be 7 to 10 waves that you'll go. The first question that we had that they were talking about the Onslaught mode was, where's the Colossus? Because there's a Colossus at the end. And also, what is the environment going to look like? So they did confirm this by showing it. They only showed the first 3 waves and then the transition to the next set. But based on that, we now know that it's going to be, for each segment of waves, it will be a different location. It's not endless. It's not going to be waves there, which I know a lot of people were hoping for. So this is going to be the first one here. So you do the first waves 1 through 3 here. Then once you're done with waves 1 through 3, you will transition to a new location. So in the center of the area, you see this giant portal looking thing. You just jump into it. As soon as wave 3 is done, you jump into it. You can see that we get teleported to a new arena for, I'm guessing, waves 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Then you'll do 8, 9, and 10 separately. And then it looks like there was a big question of like, are they gonna spawn the Colossus here? We've seen trailers from 2024 where we're fighting Colossus in the open area. We have Colossus right now in Axian Plains, which is a big open area. Is it going to be here? They didn't show anything. They showed the start of wave 4, and then they closed out and said they're not showing that here today. So it is a brand new area. However, in the trailer footage they showed after this, it actually does show them teleporting to the gray GameCube style cubic area that we have for all the Colossus right now. So based on the footage they're showing here, it means that every 3 to 4 waves, you will transition to a new area. And then once that's done, you will go to the gray Colossus arena and fight the Colossus, which to me was kind of a letdown. I was hoping they would do a new type of Colossus for this, like the Wall Crasher. You can see here, it is the gray arena. There's no turrets here. There's no other mechanics. It's just you're going here to fight this. Now, you could be charitable and say that this is just placeholder footage while they get everything going for the beta, and maybe they'll do it inside of the arena for the full version. But we'll have to see. Let me know what you think down below in the comments if you like just going to the normal gray arena or if you were hoping for something different. Next, they are doing the monthly balance for Viessa. Personally, I was very afraid of this after what happened with Sharon because I wasn't happy with how much they changed about Sharon, and not for the better in my personal opinion. But with the monthly balance here for Viessa, overall, I would say there's nothing like detracting here. They reworked some red mods and then, added stuff to her kit, but it didn't seem like they reworked anything major. So let's dive into the changes for Viessa. The first thing they changed is they made Ice Sphere, the passive, shoot more times than just once. You'll get more mileage out of her passive in all builds. The first ability, Frost Shards, has had the explosion radius increase, so it's a little bit easier to land. Frost Road can now be activated while sprinting, which we've been getting for a lot of Descendants, and I hope they keep going down this road. Every character should have this. And next is an update to Blizzard, which is hard to describe in words, and it's easier to just show you, but the idea here is that as there are more ice explosions happening inside of the blizzard, the radius will increase. So check this out here. Gonna shoot forward, throw out the blizzard, and watch what happens when ice explodes inside of it. So big explosion, you can see it gets bigger and it gets bigger, and it actually gets to a pretty large area here and is quite reliable. I think this is what Viessa needed most, was a little bit more radius on her abilities. So the fact that you get more mileage out of the passive, you can use the second ability while sprinting, and the blizzard does get bigger as long as you're shooting into it. It's not bigger by default, it's just bigger if you interact with it, which is still a win. Next, talk about the red mods. Glacial Cloud has been reworked to update the ultimate blizzard and also her first ability to be piercing projectile. So they'll just move forward and do ticking damage, kind of like Daya's red mod ultimate, where it just kind of moves forward and does ticking damage. But now it's going to be not only the ultimate, but also the ultimate and the one. And because it's now a piercing projectile, there is new trigger modules that will go off of that as well. So that's kind of a nice combo, which looks like this. Going to shoot out the 1 or the 4, and as it goes out, you see it pierces, does ticking damage in an area, and then she can react with that as well. And you have the charges on top of it too, so it does seem to be pretty, it's just different. Hypothermia has been reworked to be a little bit more of a single target red mod. This is kind of useful because a lot of people were using like Absolute Zero and stuff like that. So Hypothermia still kind of does what it did before. However, they're adding like a shield bonus for a little bit more survivability, and they also allow the needles, the ice needles from Hypothermia, to stack up on a single target. So by their words, they say that it's going to be a lot better for single target. They didn't really show any numbers that were impressive to me, but this is going to be it, and the ice needle stage will keep going up and up and up, and hopefully it allows them to do some pretty nice single targets. So maybe the next time we get Infernal Walker, or there's a nice fire boss you can use, maybe we can run Hypothermia to be able to burst through that. A nice little clean up for Cold Snap Watch. They just made the radius bigger, so the range is a lot more respectable. Since it is a persistent area, it's a lot easier to use, which looks like this. You're gonna put out the Cold Snap Watch, there's the blizzard, and then the Cold Snap Watch will spawn. So you can see it is a lot more reasonable of an AoE, and you can use this. It even looks better than maybe even some of the base then. So it's going to be interesting to try out Cold Snap once this goes live. An interesting change to Cold-Bloodedness. This now makes your second ability turn into a personal buff. And as you can see on screen, while your second ability is active and you have Cold-Bloodedness equipped, it gives you 15% skill power, which is like a power beyond level gain, 20% MP cost reduction, and 25% cooldown reduction rate. rate. So this is not really a huge increase overall. It's 15% damage. It means she's gonna be a lot better at using mana, and also a pretty large cooldown reduction, which means you might be able to change up your modules for this build. It's not super flashy or sexy, but it is enough stats that it might be useful for making an interesting playstyle using Ancestor modules and changing the modules with cold-bloodedness overall, so we'll see what we come up with. Lastly, Cold Cohesion, which was never really used for anything, has been reworked and renamed to Frost Bullet, and you're gonna wanna be sitting down for this because this is essentially turning Viessa into Glay. This is basically Ice Glay, which means that it is a firearm red module for Viessa. While your second ability is active, now called Frost Bullet with this red mod active, she has infinite ammo. She doesn't consume ammo while this is up, which is a pretty long duration, 15 seconds, and she gains bonus damage based on skill power. So you can run a firearm-based build. You can see on the buff here, it increases firearm attack, increases explosive attack, and increases firearm attack by an additional amount based on your skill power. So this is a hybrid build that allows her to have infinite ammo like Glay, and also can deal more damage based on skill power, which is pretty crazy. Now, this is just gonna be one of those things that's just generally good. It just turns her into Glay. So you can see Restored Relic, you can pop up Frost Bullet, her second ability, which just got renamed, activate it, and then you can just spam rocket shots or whatever. I kind of wish they went a little bit more unique for Viessa. It's one of those things that it's not, in my opinion, it's basically just making Glay. It's not really super original based on what's in the game already, but it is useful. And I think for the people that like Viessa, having a weapon build is going to be useful. It means that she's going to be a little bit closer to Serena, and that when new weapons come out that are really good, Viessa has an option to take advantage of that, and maybe they're going down the road of just making everyone there. So you can see the buff up, and then just turns into Glay. Crazy shots everywhere, infinite ammo. It's another way to play Viessa. Let me know what you think about this down below. Next up, Harris is getting an adjustment. They didn't show anything in game. They just had this screen up while they were talking about it. They did say that they're going to increase the tow range on her pull so that she can vortex easier. They're going to lower the cost of her abilities and also make it easier to manage her special resource. One of the hardest things about Harris is making sure not only do you have enough special resource to move around, but also do you have the right buffs, because every segment of the 3 grants her a different buff as long as she gets into it and stays there for a second or 2. So managing resources is a big thing for Harris. And they also said an overall skill power buff as well. So making it easier to play her. Personally, I wish they would remove or greatly reduce the full stop that she gets after every punch. It does make the punch interesting, but when you're doing 20 punches a second or whatever, and you have to keep stutter stopping over and over, I think that could be smoothed out a lot better for her overall, but it is nice to see that we're getting skill power, lower cost, and also a tow range increase, which should make her better overall. Next, in a shocking turn of events, they have announced that they will be doing a game-wide increase on base health and base shields for all Descendants. Game-wide changes are very scary because they can have unintended consequences. They can change things that you're not ready to be changed in this as well. So we're gonna have to see how this goes. Their reasoning for this is that there's a lot of Descendants that don't have enough incentive to build into defense. There's also, you can make an argument as well that a lot of new players just die a lot, especially when they go into Axiom Plains or any of the new Axiom Plane dungeons. As soon as they did the Axiom Plains update where they made all the enemies have higher HP and all the enemies deal more damage, a lot of new players just end up on the ground crawling around looking for quarters or looking for coins because they don't have enough survivability. So this is gonna scale a lot of things. There's gonna be a lot of unintended consequences of this. It is also going to make any build that scales off of shield or HP for damage a lot stronger. I know the first thought a lot of people are gonna have is around Serena. I know Serena does have a hard cap on how much value she can get back from HP, so maybe this won't be a major thing for Serena, but it's gonna make everyone in the game tankier, and any build that relies on HP or shield or both is going to get stronger because of this. They didn't give values, they didn't give a timeline or anything like that, so we'll have to see what this actually means, but their goal is to make everyone tankier and make it a little bit easier to survive in the game, and we'll see what this means for builds that rely on these stats. Next is another wild revelation here. They are making a major buff to the AMs or the Ancestor modules for a lot of Descendants in the game. Every single Descendant listed here is getting their synchronization value, which is the value that adjusts how big the value numbers are on an Ancestor module. A higher number means all the stats will go up. all of these Descendants, their number is going up, and some of these are going way up. You can see Kyle is going, you know, from 0.7 to 1.9. Bunny is going from 1.8 to or 0.8 to 1.8. This is going to make all the values. So like cooldown reduction, MP cost, crit rate, crit damage, power, elemental power, all of these things are going to go up on the Ancestor modules. And with these numbers going as high as they are, so for characters like Freyna, characters like Kyle, characters like Nell, characters like Bunny, some of these values are going to get really high. And if you get a really strongly rolled Ancestor module, right, you can already get like 200% plus crit rate. You might be able to get way more than that on some of these characters. So check out for the builds after the update. These might be going crazy to the moon on some of these. Even Valby's going 1.0 to 1.8. These are going to be wild. So there might be some crazy breakpoints that happen. I think they're just trying to get people to use the Ancestor module system because it is a very like, elite kind of thing of farming Ancestor modules, rolling them thousands of times, getting the right roll on it. So we'll see how this goes. Let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. But a lot of these characters, there might be some builds that get completely broken by this just because the AM values are going so high on these, and they might have to rein some of them back in. But it is exciting. If you like, Ultimate Freyna, you have a really good red mod, rolled for her that has crazy stats on it, or, you have a crit Bunny, or you have like a crit Valby with supply moisture, and finally it's easier to get her higher crit value, or you get like some crazy cooldown reduction on some of these characters. Like you might be able to only need like 1 or 2 cooldown mods on some of these to be able to push things over the top. So we'll see. Some of these values are capped, some aren't. We'll have to see what happens, but this is gonna be pretty big. Next is the weapon rebalance. They didn't go super in depth. They barely showed these at all. Like even one of these they just shot. They're just gonna make these a little bit better. So for the piercing light, they're basically reworking the passive so it can be a lot more burst damage. It still has the piercing effect to it, a lot more burst damage up front. They changed Sigvor's proof so that the sticky grenades detonate on their own and detonate quite fast. And then the exterminator, I think, is just gonna be an overall, round increase and just fire damage increase for the exterminator. So this is Sigvor's right here. You can see he can just spam it real fast and they'll explode. They just start exploding on their own. It's like a slight delay and they blow up. I think you can still detonate it manually if you'd like, but it depends on whether you're letting go of the button or not. They still automatically detonate. And they said this is mostly just for having the ability to ease the use of the Sigvor's proof. And here's the exterminator, which it's just a little bit more of a buff here on the bonus. And this is the piercing light here. It has the lock on. You can see when it shoots, it has the explosion on top of it. Not major changes, just some kind of bonuses to these weapons to get people to use them more. 2 new trigger modules, one for Viessa mostly. This one, if you use Frostbite on a target and you have a projectile type skill, it'll lower the cooldown of firing enhancement type skills as well. This might be possible on other characters that either can apply Frostbite through a weapon or their abilities, but it just gives you a cooldown reduction on firing enhancement type skills. And this one's kind of interesting as long as the damage is useful. This is if you have a toe or piercing projectile, which the new Viessa does, you can then apply Gash, which is a bleed dot. So basically it's a trigger module that can apply a bleed to the target to go bonus damage. It's at 725% skill power. That probably is enough as long as it's, for the duration there. It's damage interval of 0.3 with 1.2, so 4 ticks total at 725. That means it's 3000% skill power for a bleed dot that clears up in about a second. Pretty strong. It could actually be quite useful for a lot of characters that have either a toe or a piercing projectile. Stormhanger is the Abyss Moss that's coming back, so just returning of that, but it is returning the, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, Abyss Boss skin that is earnable by just clearing Stormhanger. So this one is going to come back. This one's really awesome. It has emissives all throughout the skin for the female version, which you can change with dyes, which is really cool. And they also mentioned that the characters Daya and Harris that don't have this are going to be added to the pool as well. So if you don't have this, this is one of the few that I have every single one on just because I think it looks great for both the characters. So this is coming back, and it's also gonna be available for Daya and Harris. Next, some changes for Arche Tuning that are pretty interesting. The first one is any character that doesn't have MP, which is gonna be Glade, Daya, Harris, Kyle, or Keelan. They don't have MP, they have no mana bar, it's just special resource. If there is a node in here that applies MP, they're gonna update it so that it will apply something else more useful. They didn't mention what it was. You have to wonder if it's just gonna be custom resource or something else, whatever it is. So that's just going to be useful. I feel like they should have done this on launch because, like Glay, Kyle, Art were in the game when the game launched, so they knew that there were characters that didn't have MP that got MP anyway, but they're going back and fixing that so that those 5 characters are going to be updated. And they're also changing it so mutant cells, which are the items that you put in the top quarters of the Arche Tuning board, are no longer going to be farmed. It's just going to be a selection. This is great because it means you don't have to use multiples for multiple loadouts, but also just going to be easier for new players to just get a full build wholesale without having to farm. We'll have to see what they do with all the boxes. I mean, I have like hundreds of mutant cell boxes sitting in my consumables right now, so I guess those are just going to get deleted, or you can sell them or whatever, but these are just going to be selectable. So when they add a mutant cell, you don't have to farm it. I kind of wish they would keep the amount of farming things in the game high, because there's just not enough to do once you get to endgame, but it is a simpler system and easier to use, and it also helps new players get into the game because they can just fill out their Arche Tuning talent board, go up to the corner and select the thing they want, and that's it, and that's going to be easier as well. And they also are increasing the loadout slots from 3 to 5 on the Arche Tuning, which is going to be a double whammy. It means you can select whatever mutant cell you want, and you have more slots that you can use for the loadouts. For quality of life, there's some good changes in here that people I think probably have been looking forward to. They're relatively small, but they are nice to have. The first one is the library is getting a search function. So you can see that right above my head at the very top. You can now type whatever you're looking for and it'll auto-complete it. It's kind of crazy that it took this long to get it, but hey, now we have a search function in the library, and they're going to do some minor cleanups inside of it as well. They're also adding chat tabs and chat categories, you can see on the far left side. So you can create world normal system for that kind of sorting, which is industry standard for any chat implementation in general. But the cool win here is that there is now a trades category as well. So now people can offer to trade things between each other, which is massive. We've needed that ever since they added the trade system in the game. Not having a dedicated trade tab is kind of lame, but now we have one coming in the next update. Another much requested feature for people that play the game is you can now select any of your spawn animations or spawn effects in the photo mode. So if you wanted to use one of the cool pose, like the new ninja one that throws the star and creates a portal, you can then use that in photo mode and create some cool photos. There's a lot of people that love using the photo mode. And of course, there's a lot of new poses and expressions that are only part of the spawn animation. So now you'll be able to use, with the new update, spawn animations or spawn effects inside of the photo mode. And lastly, they didn't show it for this one, or second to last, they are going to increase the support for the Ancestor module drop rate. The drop rate is going to be going up for that as well. They also added an improved camera rotation in Albion. I think it's just so that when you're in Albion, the camera won't auto-rotate to behind your character when you're running. So on mouse and keyboard or controller, you can walk towards the camera. I'm sure that is going to be used for very, very appropriate usages. And one last quick note before we get to cosmetics. They talked about some of the future things that aren't this patch that are coming along. They reaffirmed that they're going to be doing a rework to the overall farm loop for weapons, items, modules, all of that. And they assured us that it is still coming. And they also talked about the rework to the void intercept battles as well. They're going to be doing away with, like, you know, easy, hard, super hard, abyss sandwich, smelly, chocolate, whatever, like all these different names and versions. And they're going to be consolidating the void intercept, which is the Colossus fights, down to 2 modes, normal and hard. The hard mode is going to be scaling based on what content you're doing, and the normal mode is just for story. And so they're going to kind of make it easier because we have void, abyss, and abyss challenge, and like we have so many different modes now. And they're also going to be working on like an extreme approach, which is the highest level. And they said that they want the Colossus battles at the highest level after the rework to not be like a 5-second clear. They want it to be longer and more challenging. Based on that, we'll see what that means. I'm sure a lot of people might be frustrated by that based on how long that fight actually gets. Not everyone wants to have 4-minute Colossus battle fights when they're farming it 100 times or whatever, but we'll see what that actually looks like, and that's just what their intention is for the future. Moving on to the skins. You can see on screen here, there are 3 different sets coming. The first one is this week on the 16th, which is going to be the Smokies Diva set. Then on the 29th is the Albion Sports Club set. And then on the 7th in May is going to be this kind of kit bash kitty skin. As you can see by the skirt, is basically like the nurse devil outfit they've been kind of kit bashing over and over, except this time it's going to have a little bell on it. It does have a tail, a cat tail, cat ears, and these little glove paws as well. Smokies Diva will have a universal male skin, which is, it kind of reminds me of Joseph from Evil Within 2. Evil Within 1. Someone mentioned it, I just can't unsee it. But it's basically like a Peaky Blinders kind of like, you know, vest with like the striped suit and that sort of thing. It's going to be universal for all males. Then for Smokies Diva, there's going to be Viessa Serena, Bunny, and Nell, plus a bonus emote as well. So this is Viessa's version of the Smokies Diva. It's kind of like a mix between like Cocktail and like, you know, Flapper Girl 20s. It's a little bit of a mix between them and kind of put together. So this is going to be Viessa's version. This is going to be Inez's version as well, with kind of like the off hip showing off the side, and then the you know the splits down the middle as well, and it kind of has this like, you know, long hair with the hairband on top of it and like the light cocktail heels. Serena has this super fine like mesh material cocktail dress. It's very see-through. You can even see it cast a shadow here, and of course has whatever goes on it. You can see on her skin, it actually, the light goes through it as well and casts a shadow on it as well. And she's got like this top knot with like the lace choker on top of it as well, and a few other things with like the hands. So that's Serena's version. Bunny has this like game show hostess kind of vibe to it as well, and a lot more velvet on the side with the arms, and then like the neck with the bow in the back, and then the bow on the front on the chest as well. Same kind of material though. Lastly is Nell. She's got like this really white, elegant dress. Personally for me, I wish this was a full dress, not the asymmetrical side skirt, which shows like the garter and the underwear underneath. I kind of wish this was like a full, like, you know, like cocktail style dress, but obviously they're gonna do, it's very TFD, so they've got like the slit on the side with the side skirt coming out. And it does come with a universal emote as well, which is very much with the theme and the vibe. It's got a mix of a couple different dances here with like the side kicks and stuff like that. It does have its own VFX. You see the notes coming off it too, and it also does have its own music too. So you got like this kind of swingers vibe going on with this global emote. Next is the Albion Sports Club. Now, a warning here, they only showed 2 of the 7 skins that are listed in the middle, and this is coming at the end of the month on the 29th. So they did show us Valby's baseball skin, and they showed us the Haley skin. This is the traditional football uniform that you'll see on American football, or, you know, that sort of thing. Obviously, yeah, so American football version, they have this here. This is the skin here. This one is for Haley. She does have like the boots and like the knee pads, a little bit of shoulder pads and some camo on it as well. And then she's got the middle here. She even got like the football gloves with the bright green, like very neon color on the inside as well. There is also a special emote that comes with this where they accept a trophy and pose for it as well. And you can see this is the skin in game for Haley. Again, this is a global. It's got some emissives on the shoe too that do actually glow and show out, which hopefully that's dyeable and changes the light, which a lot of skins do that. And of the 7, they only showed the baseball skin and the football skin, American football. So this is the Valby version. It does actually say Valby on the back of her jersey as well. So I think this one is very cute, very chic. It's very Valby as well. It kind of fits her character overall. And this is 2 of the 7. The other 5 are for other characters, which looks like Bunny, Serena, Fran, and Nell. And I think the last one is Sharon, but those are our options as part of that. And it's coming at the end of the month. And lastly, on May 7th is going to be this new kitty skin. You can see it is kind of using some of the old skins, like the nurse skin and stuff like that, but it's got, you know, its own little shoulders coming off, its own little, like, you know, pieces on the side, like the mesh and things like that, the gloves, but also does have ears and a tail, and it just has the normal physics-based tail that'll move around, plus the bell. So this one is going to be coming on the 7th. And as part of the next login skin, there will be a Viessa made skin as part of that too, which is going to run from the 16th to May 27th for the login bonus. It's got a weapon skin in it. It's got, you know, looks like a profile thing, a little attachment, and of course does have the Viessa version of the made skin. At this point, it seems like they're just giving us made skins for the login. That's the login bonus item they're using. We've also got an SEMO's Onslaught preparation mission in preparation for Ultimate SEO, which is coming next month. This is launching with the patch this week, and we got some items coming in through this as well. It doesn't look like there is a transfer device that you could use to transfer from normal SEMO to full SEMO, Ultimate SEMO. Hopefully they give us one for the next month so that the people that have built SEMO don't waste their materials. Another event this week as well is a Ancestor module dismantling bonus. It will give extra fragments when you dismantle Ancestor modules this week, so that is a nice bonus. I just dismantled like 40 of them today, so I guess I should have waited, but I didn't know. They're also doing another acceleration event. This one's going to be 50% from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday to Sunday, research will be accelerated 100%, and they did mention that at some point in the future, possibly in the summer, they wanted to do a double version of this, which is 100% on weekdays and then 200% on the weekends, but they were just spitballing. And at the end of the month, there's also a SEMO dice run. This is probably just going to be one of those gacha game ones where you roll, and it just rolls and gives you a random one until you eventually get them all. It looks like earn dice from challenges and participate. They give you a dice roll and you can roll it. This is very common in gacha games all over the world, gacha RPGs specifically, so you can use this. But there's some decent items in here and some bonuses as well. And that's it for the update. We've got, Viessa Rework with reworks to all of our red mods. We've got Onslaught Mode beta, which is only going to be available for 2 weeks, and then the next version is going to be launched as well. We've got a bunch of new skins. We got a crazy synchronization value update for the Ancestor modules in the game, some quality of life, some trigger modules. We got global HP and shield increases, which is going to be crazy. Some improvements to Harris as well, and some overall good changes for the game. Let me know what you think about this patch and everything coming in it down below in the comments. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.